How are we?
All set.
Good afternoon. I'm now going to call the Wednesday, July 10th,
Ooh, I have white.
2024 meeting of the Norfolk County Commission to order. On Wednesday, March 29th, 2023, Governor Healy signed into law Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act making appropriations for fiscal year 2023, which includes a 2-year extension of the option for public bodies to hold remote meetings by suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20. That action was effective immediately, extending the current option for remote meetings through March 31st, 2025. Thank you. Will you stand and join me in saluting the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Call the roll. Commissioner Stady.
I'll take either title. I'm here. Thank you.
Commissioner
Chair.
Collins.
Pleased to be here.
Commissioner Shea is here. 30 years of calling councilors. It's hard to get out of it. I still call registered commissioner sometimes. Okay, we have a quorum. We're live and remote. Number 3, executive session. We have no executive session today. Number 4, minutes of the July 2nd,
Number you're actually carrying over
the
to.
executive session of
I'm
July 2nd.
reprinting it because they have the
I'll just
previous
ask Ms.
version.
Rockwell to mute herself. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
minutes are ready to go.
I'll move approval of the executive session minutes of 7/2/24 as presented with the stipulation not to be released until a management result.
Oh, for the executive or for the open?
I'm opening the executive session first.
Okay, so on the executive session, I did have one word change. I presented that to Mr. Buckley. So I would, I'll show you what it is. This is what I did.
Hmm.
I just knocked that one word out. So as amended?
I can go with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, this is what I did, Jeff. I knocked out this one word.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
so I,
You have to amend it then.
so I just seek to amend your motion
Yeah.
to
I
approve.
think,
the
Mr. Chairman, I'll move it
executive
as
session.
a favor, as a friendly amendment,
Thank you.
and move approval of the executive as slightly amended, but again, with stipulation not to be released.
Second.
Motion made and seconded on the open session meeting of
No,
July.
no, no,
So
no,
executive
executive session.
Executive session, I'm sorry. We did it first.
Yes.
Mm.
Of the executive session of July 2nd, 2024 as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, on the open session, I actually had a couple of changes and corrections.
Okay.
I didn't get a
Can
chance
we
to speak
resolve
with
it
Bill.
now? or-
Do you want,
So,
let's just hold those for next week.
You want to hold it, or it's just a matter of striking out some stuff, but go over it with Bill.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we'll just hold it for next week.
Yeah, let's hold it and redo it if it needs to be
It
redone.
had to do with the motions and when I
Okay,
joined and all that, so I'll
Sure.
talk to Bill.
Great, okay.
Okay, great. So we'll move postponement of the minutes for next week,
all right,
second
we'll
approval.
review them next week.
Okay?
Number 5, appointment, we have appointments, we have none. Number 6, public comment. Each week, we have a session on our agenda for public comment for people that can come in person and those that are out in Zoom land can have any public comment if they so choose. Director Cronin, have you had anybody seek the public comment?
No, sir.
Last call for public comment. Seeing none, we'll go to item number 7. Old business. Fiscal year 22 county audit for acceptance. We held that last week.
That's right. The commission has wished to have additional time to review the audit as it was presented by Parsons Law.
Okay, and I did that. I don't know if my
I
colleagues
did
had
too,
a chance.
yeah. It's just, if I wanted to make a couple of
Go,
comments,
yeah, absolutely.
if we could, before the vote. Is that appropriate?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Overall, pleased with the report. It just seems they punted the big question that's under litigation, which they have to do. They can't do much with that.
Mhm.
So I'm looking forward to see when litigation is resolved, which actually won't be till next year, apparently. So we have to go with that. I also wondered though, on the executive summary, if they could give us like on their thing, a top three, if we could ask that as a follow-up, like top three things that we should be looking at going forward, for next year. Otherwise, fine job. I got no problem moving approval. I'd like to see if I could get from them like top three
I think
areas.
that's timely, Commissioner. The expectation I have is the FY 23 audit. All of this obviously is right around the corner.
Yeah.
So I suspect I can put that question to them and hopefully have an answer within the body of that response as well. So it's
No,
timely.
good.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll certainly put that to Renee.
That's fine. Otherwise, Mr. Chairman, I'm fine.
Okay.
So you're making a motion to approve the county audit,
Accept.
or to accept the county audit? Richard?
Yeah, sorry.
I'll
I'm
second
not trying
that.
to choke.
I'll
I was
second
gonna say,
that motion.
I made that motion. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Motion made and seconded to accept the county 22 audit from our audit firm Powers and Sullivan. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. That's 22, and we're waiting 23.
Correct.
Now, question, Mr. Chairman, for you, well, to John, for
Yes.
you. Do we have to do anything with the federal award program audit as well that they gave us?
That's already been done.
Mhm.
I filed the CFA feedback with the federal government pursuant to instructions from the auditor already, and it's
Okay.
been accepted.
This is part of the regular regulations,
Yes.
right?
And
We
that's
do this
done
every
by-
year now. We'll be doing it every year. for
Whenever you
3 years?
have an audit that exceeds, I believe, $150,000 received in total federal grants, you
Mhm.
have to file a CFA.
Okay.
That's certainly been us for the last several years.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay.
And there's one other thing, if I could, I know Mr. Wallace is in the room. The schools are anxiously waiting for the conclusion of the FY 23 audit. I have put the question to our auditor, Renee Davis, and she's checking with her field staff to get an estimate of a completion. She started the audit about 6 weeks ago, so I know it's underway. John, I would think it's not too much longer, but probably sometime this summer. I'll get you the date as soon as I hear directly from Renee.
Okay.
I know that schools are working with the state.
And that'll
on that
catch us
audit.
up,
It effectively would, yes.
since we were way behind before. Not way behind, but more than 2 years.
Yes, sir.
And what, if I may, what's
Sure.
the reason for your need for the audit? Is it contingent on other funding you got coming or?
No,
or
there's a
something?
requirement
Just-
that schools are supposed to have their financial statements within 9 months
Okay, okay.
of the end of the school year.
All right, good. No, looks like we'll have that, so that's good. Okay, thank you, John, and Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Okay. So we vote to accept the fiscal 22 audit from Powers and Sullivan. Number 8, personnel matters for consideration.
Mr. Chairman, we have a couple to act
Yeah.
on. First one, if you wish, I'll move for the Norfolk County Agricultural School, notice of correction of budget code for Nora Fox of Rentham as animal science foreperson for the salary now stated, that's effective 7/1/24. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. It is unanimous. Next,
And I move a notice of appointment for Sian Denny of Canton. I don't know this person, as school finance associate, the rate stated and effective date 7/15/24. So moved.
Second.
motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is official.
All right. Look forward to.
3, in this office,
Right, regional
housekeeping
services.
matter.
Yeah, most housekeeping, more or less. Budget
Yeah,
code
John can
correction.
explain it if we.
Yeah, these are all budget code corrections.
They are effectively, the commissioners may recall, when we created the FY 25 budget, these staff were assigned to the commissioner's office.
Mhm.
We created a new department within the budget to reflect our underlining, if you will, or emphasis on regional services. And
Mhm.
so it's moving these individuals to the regional services budget.
Got it. Okay, so I'll move them as a group. I've noticed a new budget code for Robert Pearson of Newtonville, Mass. As RSP Director, for William Mullen of Abington, Mass. As our sealer of weights and measures, and of Christopher Goldsmith of Newton, Mass. As our RSVP recruiter coordinator. All those persons for the rate stated and all with the effective date for the correction of the code at 7/1/24. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is moved. There's
Okay.
a couple of milestones here on time and grade, so to speak, or years of service. If you want to mention it, Commissioner, I would like you to. Next
Sure.
line.
We have congratulations to James Bradbury for 20 years of service to the county, which was achieved on 6/28/24. And also Janice Cahill for 35 years.
Yes.
That's quite an achievement. And that was achieved on June 5th, 24. So very pleased to sign those achievements with gifts and look forward to
Okay,
present those.
congratulations.
Right.
We'll see to it that the signed certificates make their way.
Janice and Jim.
Yep.
In
Okay,
addition, through you, Mr. Chairman,
Go
if I
ahead.
could, we have another one coming up momentarily, but Tara DeFonso, as you know, has moved on. In a few minutes, you'll be asked to consider a short-term contract to bridge her services for transitional purposes, but Tara's moving on and relocating, but after 22 years of faithful service through this certificate of achievement, we're recognizing her service to the county. If you'd be so kind. We have another one coming in momentarily recognizing the many years that Nancy Rockwell has served the county of Norfolk. As you know, she'll be leaving us later in the month. Thank you.
and there's more to come on Nancy.
I just mentioned Nancy's coming. Yep, right now, actually.
Yeah.
Let's just print it out.
That's good.
Quite the achievements here. Yes.
Okay, well,
I think Nancy
Moving
Rockwell
right
has
along, yeah.
38 years with the county.
38?
Which is-
Quite achievement.
She must have been
Thank you,
8.
Peter.
I mean, seriously.
Mm.
She was a baby.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, anything else
One more.
under personnel?
It's
Yeah.
coming, for Nancy right now.
Is that it? There was
That's
it.
it. No.
All signed? Okay,
Okay,
great.
attention, number 9. Payroll and expense warrants for approval.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have 4 items that we'll need approval on. This is for the warrant list of 7/10/24. First item, 25-1 payroll of the county. I move approval of $225,321.64. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. It is a vote.
Next
Next.
item, I move approval for the payroll of the school, 25-1, and the amount of $106,726.43. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a
Aye.
vote.
Move
Next.
again, another one, payroll for the school, 25-1. This is for the sum of $237,605.19. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. It is a vote.
And the final one, Mr. Chairman, move item 07-0225, the expense of the county, the sum of $30,322.48. So moved.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That
It
concludes
is a vote.
that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Number 10, report on the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, Director Cronin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of items. You have no awards before you this week. I do expect at least one next week as it is positioned in the portal. But just 2 updates. Recently, the commissioners heard a presentation by the United Way of Massachusetts on a request for ARPA funds. Following their request, through the commissioners, we'd asked the United Way to prioritize their ask and give us a revised presentation of need. Before doing so, the United Way reached out separately to me and asked if we could possibly have a conversation about a variety of different questions administratively. We did, with the assistance of Clifton Larson, on a Zoom call last week. We spoke with the executive vice president of the United Way. They're very interested in working with us on a grant application, but there may be a significant hindrance in that when the United Way applies for grants, they build in what's called their indirect cost rate. On many occasions, those costs are covered under typical federal grant awards. Like if you would apply for a federal grant for community development block or justice programming, you're allowed to put in your indirect cost to the grant application. In some cases, it's 10% or whatever the agreed upon rate is. So the United Way was simply asking, may they admit that cost to their grant application to us? Unfortunately, the ARPA grant award does not allow for indirect costs to be baked into the application. So they are reconsidering whether or not their ask, if you will, for ARPA funds will proceed given this development. In addition to their own indirect rate, they were also wondering if any such award coming their way could also include indirect costs for subrecipients. So things got a little complicated. I think they understand that this grant is different than many other typical direct grants from the United States Treasury. But through them, I expect to hear back and answer shortly on their interest. I just want to give you a quick follow-up. We'll see how far they get with what they're trying to achieve. All right.
Yeah, good.
And just another update, 2 more closeout plans were delivered this week to Avon and Rentham as we progress with understanding our needs I should say, of the various cities and towns in Norfolk County, moving towards a full closeout plan, hopefully for all the communities by the end of the month. That is all I have for ARPA at this time.
Okay. On the first one,
United Way?
United Way, I'll keep going as a red feather, the United Way. I mean, we have a little history with United Way because our employees are participating. And, you know, we can do the very best we can. I know that we can't put a square peg in a round hole, especially with Uncle Sam, when we're not going to, I suppose. But I'd like to really see if we can find a way home here. I think it's you know, no question it's countywide, and no question it's they do a great job, and they've been around for years and years. That's all. Only a comment, and I realize that we have to conform, and we've come this far, and we've done a great job at conforming. So
Can you give me, I'm sorry.
go ahead. Commissioner.
What's a quick example of indirect cost? What do you mean by that precisely? What's an example?
When you're a unit of government typically, and you wish to engage in regular grant activities with the federal government, you're allowed to negotiate your overhead costs, the costs that you as an organization will incur administering and applying for a grant. Those costs vary because individuals who support the grant, who manage it, are paid different rates. Their employee benefits can be offset by the indirect costs as well. So it's moving an administrative cost from the applicant into the grant application.
Okay.
So if you're applying for a grant that's $10 and your indirect rate is 10%, $1 of that 10 goes back to the organization to pay for the individual supporting it. That's really what it's all about. For example, when I was at the Commonwealth, the State Comptroller's Office negotiates an indirect rate with the federal government every year. Every state department has a different rate because the individuals within have different costs. The state police, where I came from, had the highest indirect cost rate of any department in the state because of the salaries associated with the state police and their benefits.
And this was something that you ran by Clifton Larson or
They were on a call.
up the chain? They were on there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. They
Okay.
explicitly stated that it was an unallowable
Interesting.
cost.
Okay. All right. Well, I agree with the chair. I'd like to see if we can help out United Way.
Yeah, they're trying.
Keep
They're going to
plugging
see what they can
around,
pull
so,
off. That
yeah.
may not include that. So,
Okay.
Okay,
but,
Nope.
just as a footnote,
Go
I
ahead.
did give them until July 15th to come up with a plan.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you about that too, where they fit. Okay, you mentioned also you're closing out, the towns you hope to close out.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna say it, Canton, you said that's.
That's
small
probably
amount.
next.
Canton's, okay, they're on top. of
Canton,
that.
Sharon, and Foxborough are the next ones I'm
Okay,
looking at.
okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, thank you.
okay, we have no opera warrants for approval, none today?
No, sir.
Okay. Nancy, please, number 12, bid openings, we have none, but we have a contract award, correct?
Yes.
Good afternoon,
Hi,
Nancy.
Nancy.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good.
Good.
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Checking out the
Nancy's gonna
bids?
explain to us a contract award in facilities maintenance for Tara DeFranzo, who is leaving us in a couple of weeks, and this is to fill in, I guess.
Yes, she's gonna
Go ahead,
be
explain it.
in
please.
as a consultant to perform the duties of training on the IV's platform for payroll requisitions, preparation of weekly warrants for payment, and any other administrative tasks required for the facilities maintenance department from the period of July 15th to 2024 to July 26th, 2024 in the amount of $44.53 an hour, not to exceed $2,000.
Okay, any questions?
So-
Tara, you know, Tara's retired, going to
What was the
Florida.
period? I didn't go. the period
It's from
now.
July 15th
Right.
to July 26th of this year.
So it's like 2 weeks.
Yes.
all.
Okay.
And we're in the process of trying to fill that position, but we're
Yeah,
not
give
sure.
me
if
an
we-
update on that. Just
Correct, okay,
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 okay.
good.
I wasn't sure the date.
All
Sorry.
right,
Yeah, I
it's
know.
just-
I see what you mean.
So we want a motion on it to approve it?
Sure, unless there's a question.
I move approval of the contract with Tara DeFonso of the address, Punta Gorda, Florida. But this is for the 2-week period as presented by the purchasing agent for consulting services. Said period of time is going to be from July 15, 2024, will conclude on July 26, 2024, at the rate stated and not to exceed $2,000. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is a vote. Thank you. Thank you, Nance.
That's right.
Number 14, fiscal year 24 capital and operating reserve lists for approval.
Yes, there's been a few changes to the operating one. It's actually lower. A few things were adjusted and a few things were taken off.
Thank you.
So this reflects,
Okay, and this is something we do every year, correct?
yes.
At the terminal end of the year.
So this new list is actually, the new amount is $52,793.05 less than the previous version with so the total reserve now is $586,196.83.
Okay, commissioners, have you had a chance to look at this? And if there are any questions, now's the time to ask them. Bigger
Chairman,
the
through you.
department, the bigger the request, of course.
Sure.
Yes,
If I could.
yes.
For you, just to compliment what Nancy's advancing to, we had a transition meeting last week, and as Nancy begins to move on to retirement, we wanted to review the status of a host of issues, including the operating reserves and capital reserves before you. She's done a great job scrubbing all the accounts, all the projects that are associated with these dollars to closely hold over, if you will, FY 24 funds to pay these obligations by the end of August, should they be realized. So this has been a fine-tuned report. Sounds like she's updated it since we met. And it reflects all of our ongoing needs to finish up FY 24 work.
So is that why the number went down?
Yes.
More money was spent, in other words?
Spent or adjusted.
Less
Not
money is being
realized.
reserved,
So we had 638 before,
correct, and now it's,
and now it's down to
yes,
a lower number. It's down to 586.
yes,
Am I reading that right?
yes, you are.
Okay.
So just going through, there were some things that we decided maybe didn't need to be reserved and were taken off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
so,
see.
so it's less being reserved,
Okay.
so
okay.
more money being left
Well,
behind.
it's like in a local level when you encumber money, you encumber it. You're
Mhm.
encumbering money out
Yeah,
of the budget to spend during the upcoming year, but they haven't spent it yet.
Yeah, it's called the accounts payable period.
Okay.
So the first 2 months of the fiscal.
All right, good. Well, good job. Good.
so there needs to be a vote to approve the operating
What
reserve.
about the capital reserve? What's that? Separate
Okay,
thing?
we'll do them both at once.
I don't know,
Capital is
I don't know.
separate.
We can do whatever you feel. Chairman feels.
No,
No, we can do the capital now.
Okay.
It's one vote anyway. Go ahead.
Yeah, so there's been no changes to
That's-
this
that's
since
it,
you,
so-
this is the remaining of the capital fund reserve for different projects that are going on right now.
Mhm. In the amount of 138,
Yep.
42.
No, it's 288,091.
No, that, my bad. 288,091.
64.
Okay, I just see that. From the accounts. Same thing. So you're setting aside money that will be spent, and that's the bottom line on that, right?
Yes, these have been basically for most invoices, or the capital is for ongoing projects.
I'm imagining this must come bottom up, right? All the different department heads forward information to you.
Everything comes
And
to
to you, and
purchasing.
you look
Mhm.
at it and, okay. All right. Good. Makes sense. Want a motion?
Yeah, I think it's
Unless,
pretty straightforward. I remember being taught last year about it for the year
Hmm.
before. Time goes by. Go ahead,
okay,
Commissioner.
so I'll move that we approve for the fiscal 24 operating reserve the amount of money of $586,196.83. So moved.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
And, Mr. Chairman, if you wish, I'll move that we approve for the capital reserve fiscal 24, the sum of $288,091.64. So moved.
Motion made and seconded on the capital reserve. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So hypothetically, so we reserve the money, I get it. And then the year proceeds, and then say come around Christmas time, let's say, pick it.
Okay.
So what if Premier Fence never gets needed?
Okay,
We didn't do it.
so-
What happens then?
So what happens now is a letter's already gone out, another memo will go out to the departments. If their reserves aren't expended by August 31st,
Okay, there we go.
they'll be closed.
They're closed.
The letter goes out telling them this, but to please send an explanation back to the purchasing department if there is a reason that this still needs to be open.
Okay,
Then we'll look at it if we need to have a discussion with the department head. So they do close. But some of the capital ones will be expended throughout the year.
but hypothetically, say the fence, just pick the fence one. They decided they can't do it, or lack of materials, or we don't want it, whatever. What happens, that money goes into.
That money
free
goes
cash?
back into the free
Okay.
cash.
Free cash, okay. All right. Good job.
Okay.
Yeah, good. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
thank you,
Nancy.
Nancy.
Thank you.
you.
Number 15, report of the county director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have several items just for the commissioners' information. As we have concluded the fiscal year, our performance evaluations for the department heads for FY24 are underway against their goals. Have already begun having meetings, I think, with 3 folks already. That'll continue over the next week or 2. We're also simultaneously putting plans in place for the FY25 performance evaluation on the planning side. Department heads are coming in with 2 goals, and we're having conversations about prioritizing them and ways to achieve them. Last week, for the commissioners' information, our CIO, Mr. Buckley, and I met with Dana Smith and Carl Miner at the golf course to cover a host of issues. Earlier in the year, I emailed Carl about thoughts on golf course management issues. I gave him about 60 days to kind of come up with some ideas to make improvements, and it was a great meeting. I just wanted to fill the commissioners in on a few things. So the Wallace Recreational Facility Technology Space has been a silo for a long time. They stood that system up on their own. It operates. They have their own website. They have their own tee time reservation system. Our CIO is working to connect their website and domain more closely with the Norfolk County Commissioner's website, so that there's some synthesis between what they're doing and what we're doing. You're going to see Norfolk County more prominently on the banner site, drawing them closer to the ownership and use and management of the commissioners in their daily website utility. We're also going to be looking at drafting some policies that are long overdue. Some have already been corrected. Dana Smith put one up with Carl's approval for golf course etiquette, amongst other things. And then finally, we took a tour of the courts. I think the commissioners are aware we're looking at a study, and followed by hopefully some ARPA funding to upgrade a couple of the courts down there that are in degraded conditions. So overall, a very productive meeting. We have a lot of action items. Carl and Dana are committed to obviously embracing some of these updates, and overall, I think it'll result in a better operation. So good meeting. Thanks to Carl. Thanks to Dana. It was good to see them. For the commission's information, because of Bristol County specifically, it looks like the County Commissioners Association meeting is now moved to August 7th, which is a Wednesday. The location will likely be in Rentham, Massachusetts.
Oh.
Details to follow.
Luciano.
That will likely mean that on that date, we will have an early morning meeting for the commissioners, and we'll feed that information more closely through this board as we get closer to the date.
That's August 7th?
Yes, sir. That works for Bristol. We're still waiting to hear from Plymouth.
Right.
Barnstable said it's fine. Anticipating a question from Commissioner Stady, followed up with the gentleman who we filed the EV grant with back in May. I haven't heard from him. He's checking with Eversource to find out when we might be looking at a connection date and activity on our application, which was submitted, as I mentioned, back on May 13th. More to come.
Oh, wow.
Nancy began to touch on a little bit with her reserve request that you just approved, but just for the commissioner's information, FY24 is now closed or coming to a close as of July 10th. We are in a favorable position. Consequently, we canceled the advisory board meeting. I spoke to Dr. Childs. There's no need for any transfers. She directed the cancellation of the meeting last week, and all the advisory board members were alerted.
We, for FY 24, I saw an updated number from the treasury yesterday that is favorable. It's not phenomenal, but it's good. It's a good base to start FY 25 with. I won't give you the number now because Joe D needs to scrub it now that the reserve numbers that you just voted are hardened, and he can use those to back out what he needs for free cash effectively as we move in. But I'm encouraged by the number. It looks decent, and as I mentioned to you before, I expect to come before you next week and make a recommendation for lifting the spending and hiring freeze for FY 25. So that'll be for next week. As we mentioned, Nancy's leaving. We have prepared a contract scope and put it out to get 3 bids for CPO services. There are firms in Massachusetts that offer the opportunity to bring in certified purchasing agents and services to help augment personnel transitional moments such as this. While we had posted for this position, we've received several applications, 1 interview and another interview scheduled. We do expect the process to go on for a while. This is a specialty, and it's not something that you usually find a lot of applicants for. So through patience and hopefully targeted recruitment, we'll be able to find the right individual for the job. Meanwhile, upon her vacancy, the service contract, which will hopefully be before you this time next week for approval, will give us the bridge necessary to continue the services without any interruption. Speaking of interviews, in addition to the CPO interviews that we're conducting, we've had 3 interviews, I think 2 or 3 interviews for Tara DeFonso's facility assistant supervisor of operations position. Things are trending well, and I expect to have a recommendation for hire this time next week.
Wow.
Hoping that individual may also have the opportunity to engage Tara during this transitional period as well. And that is all I have at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions?
Yeah, through you, Mr.
Go ahead.
Chairman, of course. Maybe I misunderstood. Is next week's meeting of the board in the morning also?
Yes.
Was there a change on that?
Well, so,
'Cause August 7th, you're
is-
saying the multi-county will be in the morning or something
Noon.
that day? Noon.
To be clear, the commissioners' meeting on August 7th will likely be earlier in the morning or late morning.
Oh,
Because your association meeting will be at 11:30 up the street.
Okay, I heard you right.
But next week, you are correct.
Okay, what's the deal next week?
Mr. Buckley and I will be hosting the Norfolk County Managers Meeting.
Right,
So we are looking to have the meeting earlier, perhaps at 11 a.m. next week,
okay.
so that you can complete your business and we can release to go up to the meeting in Randolph. I
Okay.
actually said 11. I think I meant 10 o'clock in the morning.
Is it 11 or 10?
I think we're looking at 10 through the chairman, unless you have
No, I
Preference.
had planned a meeting on a different board at 9:30, so I might just join by Zoom. If it's 10:30, I can just do that.
Okay.
Or, all right,
Is 11 enough time?
The
Is it-
meeting in Randolph starts at 11:30, and so I don't think it is enough time.
Well, what's
We
that for
should
you?
start at 10.
What do you start at 10?
10 would be.
Why don't we
preferred.
just
Yeah.
decide now? 10,
Yeah, do
is
it
10
10.
all right?
Yeah, and I'll back my other meeting up to 9.
Peter's 10 all right?
I just might do it by Zoom.
And then that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
And they go to their meeting.
yeah, okay.
Thank you.
That's next week, okay.
We don't want
That's
to leave
great.
the managers waiting, seriously.
Okay, so 10 o'clock next week,
Perfect.
short
Okay.
meeting, okay. That's good, I was wondering.
And then August 7th is,
Trending to be an 11 o'clock. We'll talk more about that meeting as we get closer to that date.
okay.
I have to get confirmation from the other 2 counties. They're too crazy. with the schedule.
Okay.
Is Barnstable gonna attend? You heard?
Barnstable did respond. They are.
Okay,
they're, Mark Forrest and Beth Albert are coming.
All right, and Plymouth is coming.
What do you hear from
A
Plymouth?
lot of activity in Plymouth.
Is there?
Oh, yeah, a lot of interesting races down there, so
Oh,
who
right.
knows, very interesting. Very-
You know, they have primaries and a final. of
Yeah,
course.
there's a lot going on in Plymouth, so, yeah.
Okay, anything else for the county director? Moving right along, number 16, emergency items and topics the chair did not reasonably anticipate would be discussed. I have nothing. If you have anything, commissioners, bring it up now, otherwise I'll ask for,
If there's nothing, I can move to be adjourned at 1:38. I believe. Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn at 1:38. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you very much.